Officials in Florida warn time is running out to evacuate as Hurricane Milton closes in on the Gulf Coast. And Vice President Harris heads to Arizona this week as early voting in that state gets underway. Good morning. I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. Hurricane Milton remains a major and frightening storm with top sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. It's expected to make landfall late tonight or early tomorrow morning on Florida's Gulf Coast. Officials say there's almost no more time to evacuate. The mayor of Sarasota, Florida, Liz Alpert, says her city is caring for vulnerable people.
We do have shelters open in the city, in the surrounding county for people to go. Uber was offering free rides for people. We've been making announcements in places like mobile home parks and low-lying areas.
She spoke to NPR's Morning Edition. As early voting is set to kick off in Arizona today, Vice President Harris is visiting the swing state this week to shore up support, especially among Latino voters. NPR's Deepa Shivaram reports Harris is on the trail after doing a series of interviews yesterday in New York.
After hitting The View, Howard Stern, and The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Harris is headed to Arizona and Nevada. In Nevada, Harris will take part in a town hall with Univision, a Spanish-language broadcaster. Latino voters will be critical for Democrats there and in Arizona. Recent polling shows Harris is doing better than former President Trump overall with Latino voters, but is losing ground with men in the demographic. Her trip out west comes just 2 weeks after she visited the U.S.-Mexico border in Arizona and rallied with voters in Las Vegas. Her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, also traveled to both states this week ahead of the vice president. Deepa Shivaram, NPR News, New York.
Former President Donald Trump is expected to speak to supporters today in Scranton, Pennsylvania. That is the childhood hometown of President Biden. Later tonight, Trump is scheduled to hold a campaign rally in Reading, Pennsylvania. The U.S. Supreme Court hears a remarkable case today, a true crime saga that pits the Oklahoma State Attorney General against his state's highest criminal court. NPR's Nina Totenberg explains.
State Attorney General Gentner Drummond, a conservative Republican, is seeking a new trial for a man who's been on death row now for more than 25 years, always insisting that he's innocent. Richard Glossip has had 9 execution dates and eaten his last meal 3 times. He's had multiple appeals, including to the U.S. Supreme Court. But in 2023, Oklahoma's new Attorney General, after reviewing records of Glossip's trial, found that the prosecution had hidden evidence helpful to the defense and knowingly elicited false testimony. But when the Attorney General asked the state's highest court of criminal appeals to order a new trial, that court refused. Now that court contends that the U.S. Supreme Court cannot overturn its ruling. Nina Totenberg, NPR News, Washington.
You're listening to NPR News.